Today I want to dive deep into a topic that's been on everyone's mind. Working remote versus working in the office. What are the differences? Let's break this down. First thing I want to talk about is productivity. Let's cut to the chase. Productivity isn't about where you actually are, it's about what you do. People romanticize remote work, think it's all about lounging in pajamas and occasionally typing. Reality check, if you're not disciplined, remote work can actually turn into a black hole of distractions. And in an office, the structure is imposed on you. Set hours, scheduled meetings, your boss walking by, quite possibly yelling at you about a TPI report. Remote work flips the script, so you have to impose that structure on yourself in order to be able to succeed. It's freedom with responsibility. Next up is communication. So in the office, you can walk over to a colleague's desk, have a quick chat, and read their body language. Communication is fluid. Remote work demands intentional communication. You actually have to have over communication in order to be able to compensate for the lack of physical presence. Emails, messages, sometimes video calls, they become your lifeline. Miscommunication can escalate quickly if you're not proactive about it. In my book, Running Remote, I specifically talk about how everyone needs to be able to make sure that you're over communicating and assuming positive intent with all forms of communication in order to be able to have a successful remote environment. Next up is company culture. Company culture isn't the free coffee or the ping pong table, it's the shared values and behaviors that everyone has inside of a company. In an office culture, that culture develops organically through daily interactions, but remote teams have to be more deliberate about it. So virtual team building activities, regular check-ins, transparent communication, they're not optional, they're actually essential. Building culture remotely is like cooking without a recipe. You need to know your ingredients well. Next one, which is one of the biggest ones that I always get, is work-life balance. People say remote work offers better work-life balance. Maybe, but the lines blur when your home is your office or your walk-in closet is your office. It's easy to actually slip into a always-on mode in the office. Leaving the building often means leaving work behind. Remote work requires setting boundaries, defining when you're at work and when you're not. It's about self-regulation. So as a perfect context here, I am in my walk-in closet, which I've now declared my office. When I leave this space, I have a desktop computer and I have a laptop, and all of my other work equipment remains here. I do not have any notifications on my phone. I do not have any notifications on my iPad. So when I leave this space, I am leaving my work environment. I highly suggest that you build a workspace and a social space and do not let those two interact. Next, let's talk about cost and convenience. Remote work cuts out the commute, and that's time back in your day. On average, people save about $4,000 per year just on commuting costs. Companies save on office space, and I don't want to ignore the hidden costs of a home office either. Like when you look at the setups like utility bills, those distractions can actually cost you time, which is also money. And in the office, everything is actually set up for you. So at home, you're the IT department, the facilities manager, and the employee all in one. And in comparison, for that type of freedom, you just have to take on that type of responsibility. A lot of companies now are actually starting to share that cost and burden with the employee, but that's still a relatively small minority of the overall employers that I see across running remote. So it's totally up to you as to where you're at in that journey. Next up is talent pool. So remote work opens up the talent pool globally, and you're not limited to hiring people within a 30-mile radius. That's a massive advantage, but managing a distributed team across time zones introduces complexity. So communication becomes asynchronous. Again, we wrote a book on that particular subject, which you can check out on Amazon or anywhere else that books are sold. Coordination, it requires more planning, and it's a trade-off. So you need to be able to understand how to deploy asynchronous communication in order to really succeed. Next, you need to be able to talk about collaboration and innovation. So spontaneous interactions can spark innovation. I'm the first to say that it's probably going to be more quote unquote innovative if everyone is in the same room. Those hallway conversations, the impromptu meetings, these are harder to replicate remotely. Remote teams need to create environments where collaboration can virtual brainstorming sessions, collaborative tools, and creating a culture of open communication that becomes critical. A really great tool is Miro.com as an example. It's a fantastic whiteboard. We use that all the time at Time Doctor. I highly suggest you check out stuff like that if you're having issues with collaboration and innovation. Additionally, in an office, it's easier to monitor activity. Let's be real here. Being present doesn't actually equal being productive. Remote work shifts focus to output over hours, and trust becomes the fundamental currency. You have to trust your team to deliver, and they have to trust you that you'll recognize their efforts. I call this the mutual accountability accountability agreement between employers and employees. Both groups need to be able to trust the other, but verify that each of you are actually doing what you need to do in order to succeed as a successful remote team. Your ability to work remotely, it honestly also hinges on technology. So reliable internet, secure networks, effective software tools, they're non-negotiable. In the office, these are managed for you, and remotely, you need to actually ensure that your tech stack is solid. So downtime is lost time, and it affects the bottom line. I know for me, I have 2 redundant internet connections, so I'm always online. I know everyone can't really afford that, but it's important to be able to audit yourself and recognize, do I have all the tools in place in order to be able to be at my maximum state of productivity and flow state? And lastly, let's talk about the big one in the room, social interaction and mental health. Human beings are social creatures, even though I spend a lot of the time in my walk-in closet. The office provides social interactions that can boost morale and foster teamwork. And remote work can feel isolating in some contexts, but companies need to be mindful of this, implementing virtual social events, encouraging video calls, creating spaces for casual interaction. Mental health isn't just a personal issue, it's a productivity issue. So what's the bottom line here? Neither remote work nor office environment is a one-size-fits-all solution, and each have their pros and cons. The key is understanding these differences and leveraging them to your advantage. So if you're an employer, think about hybrid modes that actually combine the best of both worlds. This is what the vast majority of people are doing in the space right now. And if you're an employee, understand your work style and choose environments that actually suit you. So if someone is sticking you in an office 5 days a week, quit that job and go find something else that's better. At the end of the day, listen, success doesn't actually come from where you work. It comes from how you work. So discipline, communication, accountability, these are universal. So whether you're dialing in from your living room or collaborating in a conference room, focus on delivering value. So thanks for joining me today. If you found this valuable, hit that like button and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more insights. This is what we talk about every single week, and keep grinding away, stay focused, and let's build something great together. See you in the next video. If you've gotten to this point in the video, I think you should probably subscribe to this YouTube channel. It's free, unlike most other things in life, and it would bring me happiness and joy. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one.